case, and I anticipate the very first proceeding that will take place will be another bail hearing, where the defense will argue that the victim, that the defendant here is not a flight risk, that defendant does have ties to the community, and therefore the defendant should be let out on bail. We will argue that quite frankly, is not true. We will argue that the defendant doesn't have any ties to the community anymore, that he really has no permanent address. From what we can gather, he's staying down in Florida half the time. He's got a buddy who lives in Niagara Falls. He hangs out with him once in a while, and he doesn't have any kind of permanent home here in Buffalo. In addition to that, he's, as you all know, he is facing felony charges and other state charges by the Attorney General's office that he has not been sentenced on yet. And so he's facing two other jurisdictions, two other court proceedings. And on top of that, we have information that Mr. Pigeon, over the course of the past few months, suspected that something was going on, and therefore allegedly went to the home of the victim here, and also had a friend of his go to the home of the victim as well. So when you put all those things together, on top of the fact he's facing life in prison. This isn't some, misdemeanor charge they have in federal court, or another misdemeanor charge they have at the Attorney General's office. I'm not minimizing those charges, obviously. This is big boy stuff here. Okay, this is rape. This isn't child molestation. Okay, this is rape. And so when we're talking at that level, all right, we're talking life imprisonment here. He needs to be treated like every other defendant who walks through these courthouse doors who is facing life imprisonment. And the only people really who are facing life imprisonment are people charged with homicides. And therefore, everyone who's walked through this door in my 5 years here, I'd be shocked if anyone who's facing life imprisonment wasn't remanded. So those are the arguments that we'll make when that bail hearing comes, and I anticipate that will come as soon as possible, because I anticipate they're going to try to want to get him out of jail as soon as possible. So that's on the bail matter. Before I take any questions, let me just address some of the information that came out recently. Let me also just reiterate that any time that I'll remind anyone out there who's got a big mouth, and obviously someone did have a big mouth, that any time there's a sealed indictment out there and you talk before the indictment is unsealed in a court of law and arraignment, that's a crime. And obviously someone talked and gave information out there, and the information that has been put out there now also needs to be corrected, especially the information that allegedly came out of his mouth, which is that this must be somehow related to child pornography or something on my computer or something on my phone, or some guy in the FBI wants to get back at me for something. I can tell you that all of that is utter nonsense. I can tell you that this case right here has absolutely nothing to do with any of his previous charges. It has nothing to do with anything the FBI was looking at. It has nothing to do with anything the Attorney General was looking at. Quite frankly, I wasn't even in that loop, and I'm not in that loop. I really have no idea what he's facing federally. I really have no idea what he's facing with the Attorney General's office. I was not involved in that. I had nothing to do with that, and I was not brought in a loop on that at all. So any allegation or any innuendo that this somehow must be tangentially related to what I was doing with the FBI or what I was doing with the Attorney General's office is utter nonsense. It has nothing to do with it at all. This matter wasn't even brought to my attention by anyone in any law enforcement agency. This matter was brought to my attention by the mother of the victim's family lawyer. The victim told his or her mother, and again, I'm not going to confirm or deny, and I'm not even going to allude to anything that could identify this victim at all. So again, any questions you may ask me in a minute or two here, you're probably not going to get answers to, because again, I am going to do whatever I can to protect the identity of the victim. So the victim told his or her mother what happened. The mother didn't know who to call. The mother happened to have a family lawyer who did some civil matters for her previously, and called that lawyer and told that lawyer what her child had told her, and wanted to know who to call and who to reach out to. And the lawyer called me. And after the lawyer called me, I then gave it to my investigators and gave it to my attorneys, and they went from there. And they're the ones who brought in, my people are the ones who brought in the state police. We didn't call the FBI, we didn't tell the FBI, we didn't tell the feds anything. We chose the state police because we wanted a law enforcement agency that had multiple jurisdictions. We weren't sure exactly how many times it may have happened, where it may have happened, where the defendant was living at the time, and so we wanted a law enforcement agency that had multiple jurisdictions, and the state police obviously have that. They can cover the whole state. So we're the ones who called the state police and brought them in on this investigation, to do the investigation. So again, it had nothing, zero, to do with anything else he was facing or anything else related to that matter at all. This is a completely separate matter, a completely separate allegation, and again, it's obviously much more serious than what he's facing now. David.
Yes, sir. Could I ask you then, you mentioned this is regarding an incident on or about Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving 2016?
Between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
2016.
2016.
And then, so my question is, when were you alerted to this?
A few months ago.
Okay, so the investigation into these allegations been going on for a few months?
Yes.
I see. And the other thing I wanted to ask you is that because he was so steeped in politics, worked on so many campaigns, did you ever have a concern that maybe you couldn't try him here in Erie County because of perhaps conflicts with judges he may have worked for their campaigns, things like that, recusals after recusals?
Yeah, that'll have to be addressed going forward, obviously. So what's going to happen is that, this case will be assigned to a judge. If that judge feels that they cannot properly handle this matter, that judge will recuse him or herself, and then we'll have to keep going. And then, listen here, if we have to, we'll bring in a judge from Syracuse. We'll bring in someone from out of town.
Is that what happened this morning?
No.
Okay.
No, but Judge Burns is from here. What do you mean?
Right. Well, Judge Case was originally assigned.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, I don't know.
Has he ever worked for you?
Who? Steve, no.
And
no.
does that give you a conflict?
No conflict with me at all.
Okay.
I know him, obviously. I would categorize our relationship as business acquaintances. Since our business is political, that I guess I would categorize it business/political acquaintance. I do not believe that I have seen him or spoke to him in the past 6 years.
So he never worked for your campaigns of any
never
sort?
worked my campaign. I definitely did not see him at all or speak to him at all when I was running in 2016. And then since I've taken over, I can't remember if I've even seen him or been in his presence in the past 5 years. So I don't believe that I've even seen him or spoke to him in 6 years. Before that, I was probably in his company maybe 5 to 10 times totally. I had lunch with him and another person on 2 occasions, maybe 10 years ago. Just a social matter. So yeah, I am definitely an acquaintance of his. But again, I've probably seen him 5 times my whole life, and haven't seen him in the past 6 years. So that gives me no pause at all.
But would that make you have to comb through contributions that he may have given to campaigns or judges? Or
Well, that's up to the judge. For me, it's not going to be a point, because when I ran in 2016, I operated under a blind campaign system, so I never knew who gave me money. Now, obviously, it's in there. You come to my party, I see you there, okay? So I'm not going to, obviously, I see you at a party of mine, all right? But I have no idea how much money anyone gave me. I don't look at the records at all, and I never have in 6 years. I've only had, so I don't believe that I saw him at any party of mine in 2016 when I ran for DA. So I can't remember ever seeing him at any party, so I don't believe he gave me money. If he did, I don't know about it, put it that way. And I've only had, since I've been DA, I've only had 1 fundraiser in 5 years, because I didn't have an opponent last year. So I've only had 1 fundraiser, and I definitely did not see him there. So I don't believe he's ever given me money. But again, I wouldn't know it anyway. And judges operate in the same way. Judges, I don't have to operate under that premise, but I do. Because I did it when I ran for judge. Judges have that rule in place, though. Judges are not authorized to know who gave them money. That's actually written in statute, okay? For me, it's not. But for judges, it's in their ethics rules that they're not allowed to know who gave them money. So again, whatever judge gets his case will have to, him or her will have to evaluate that as they go forward. That's not my concern. No.
Do you know why there was so much of a lapse of time between 2016 and 2 months ago when you learned about this, that the child didn't come forward sooner?
No, but that's not unusual. In child sex abuse cases, the majority of the time, quite frankly, if you talk to experts on this, they will tell you that there is delayed reporting. They will tell you that sometimes it takes years and years before the child tells someone or reports it. Okay, that's very common. Again, you look at all the child, all the clergy cases, and all the other Boy Scout, Girl Scout, all the other youth cases that you've seen over the course of the past 5 years, and there's obviously been a lot of them. Okay, you will see, if not the majority, a great number of them, the victim does not tell anyone, and they hold it in for years and years. So that's very common.
What's the
So you're
timeline
saying-
for the bail application now? Like, could
It's
that
up to the defense lawyer. So they can move like right away. They can make a motion like right now if they wanted to. But again, it's all going to depend on how fast they assign a judge to the case. So they gotta. So the way the court clerk downstairs, they got a wheel, like not literally a wheel, but they call it a wheel. They got a wheel, and then they'll put the case in the wheel, and then a judge will get assigned to it. And then, so they gotta wait till that judge gets assigned to it. Then, as soon as they find out, I anticipate they'll make a motion.
maybe today?
Oh, I don't know how fast it takes the wheel downstairs.
Yeah.
When,
I-
I'm sorry,
Yeah, go
we
ahead.
finished, yeah. When he was ordered to report and surrender to state police,
Yeah.
do you know when that occurred and where he was at the time?
I don't know where he was. The sealed indictment was reported out yesterday. Okay? And when the indictment it's a John Doe indictment, okay? When the John Doe indictment was opened up in court yesterday, we knew obviously that he had a lawyer, okay, from the previous cases, okay, that he's represented by counsel. So whenever that happens, we called his attorney up and said, basically, you've got 24 hours to turn him in or we'll come to get him. So that phone call was made yesterday and he was brought in today.
Okay,
Within
but you don't
24
know
hours.
where he was within,
No, I don't
at
know
that
where-
time?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I don't know.
Can you tell me as well, and this was brought up in court as well, the incident from earlier, the going over there and contacting the alleged victims, the pounding on the door, the friends of his showing up, was that what occurred in the summer just after your investigation began?
Yes, it
Okay.
occurred. It occurred. That has occurred within the past, allegedly, within the past 2 months.
Okay.
Did you say earlier, just to clarify, I'm not sure I heard you, did you say it started 2 months ago or a few months ago?
A few months ago.
A few months ago.
A few months ago. So they called me, the lawyer called me, I believe, in either July or August.
Okay. In court, your ADA referenced a text message that Pigeon allegedly sent, and then I'm trying to just find out if I understand it right. He sent the text message, and separately on another instance, he went to the house himself, and then separately 2 other guys went to the house.
Yes, allegedly.
Allegedly.
John, on that, do you think, just listening to what the attorney said in court, that they had been tipped off that there was some sort of investigation, or do you think that they potentially just got nervous because this family stopped having communication with you?
Well, I don't want to confirm that family part that you're through in there, okay? Because I'm not going to confirm or deny that there's family, quote unquote, involved here, because that may identify who the victim is, okay? So I'm not going to go down that path right there. I'll just say that we believe that he thought or knew that something was going on because the victim's let's call it orbit of area was not responding to him. Look at that.
Is it correct to say, I think in court, the ADA said that the mother, when the 2 guys showed up, the mother called 911 and Hamburg police showed up, so is that, could we say, is it what happened in Hamburg? I mean, is that?
I thought they said
I'm not going to confirm or deny. I mean, sir, my lawyer said that in court, but I'm not going to confirm or deny that the victim lives in Hamburg. Because again, I don't. I mean, yes, sir. It was said in court. You can, quote my lawyer, obviously, but I'm not going to quote it. I'm not going to quote that because again, I just don't want to do anything that, where people can put 2 and 2 together and winnow down and figure out who the victim is here.
John, I know you said this wasn't connected to other cases, but just because of the time, I had asked you to speak directly to, when this came out yesterday, people said, oh, Steve Casey just, got his sentence yesterday, and then this comes out.
Yeah.
We're not connected at all.
No, not at all. I didn't know. That's what I read in the Buffalo News. Yeah, I didn't know that he even got sentenced yesterday. Yeah, no, it's just coincidence. I mean, it has I'm telling you, literally zero to do with anything that he's facing down the street or in the AG's office. It's totally separate, and obviously it's like I said, it's much more serious.
Now, a lot of stuff
crosses
your desk, and
Yeah.
you try to keep it to the legality of it. That's your job. But can you just characterize what your thought process is here when you heard about this case and the details of it?
Well, my thought process was that I have a individual who allegedly committed one of my top 3 crimes. Listen here, we all have our own moral compass. My moral compass happens to be homicide, rape, child sex acts. Those are my big 3. And so when it came across my desk that an individual allegedly committed that with a child under the age of 11, it registered as this is serious. Listen here, obviously, when I found out who the alleged perpetrator was, it's not Joe Smith. We're all human, okay? It's not Joe Smith. It's allegedly Steve Pigeon, who obviously has some name recognition in the community and has, like I said, various troubles of his own that's out there and has a various history that's out there. He has a history in the same circles that I used to travel in. I don't really travel in those circles anymore because, 1, I didn't have a re-election last year, and 2, I'm not running again 3 years from now, so I've kind of distanced myself from those circles, quite frankly. And so, but he did travel in those circles. And so obviously that registered too. And, you know, I can't just dismiss that. But at the same time, it's not a factor. And at the same time, I'm going to make sure that that this child gets justice. And at the end of the day, listen here, at the end of the day, what's all these cases come down to, a child's going to say something. I presume he's going to say something. It didn't happen, all right? At the end of the day, it's a child's word versus his word.
It's
And I believe the child. I'm standing with the child, and I'm going to give the child justice.
well, I won't ask what it is because I know you wouldn't tell me, but I do need to ask you, do you have anything more than the word, an allegation of a child?
That I'm not going to talk about any other evidence, but I
Yeah.
have her word though.
Okay. Do you have anything more than that? I'm not asking what you have,
Yeah.
but I mean, you must to bring a charge like
Sure,
this,
yeah.
no?
Yes.
Do the people who allegedly went to the house, did they possibly?
That's something more right there. That to me shows consciousness of guilt.
Do those people who did that?
That's one example. Go
Did,
ahead, yeah.
did the two guys who allegedly weren't Pigeon who allegedly did that, or do they face criminal liability
No,
now?
no, nothing was done for crossing the harassment level.
Can you walk us through those details again? I know it was quick in court, but the details within the past couple of months that occurred, the text messages.
Yeah, I don't know the exact dates when it happened, Ken, but I can tell you that there were allegedly 3 separate things, for lack of a better word, that happened. All right, there was a text message from Mr. Pigeon to an individual in the orbit of the victim, saying that allegedly someone needs to contact me, someone needs to reach out to me, what's going on, something to that effect. There was a time when he allegedly came to the home of the victim, and then there was a third time where allegedly 2 of his friends, without him, came to the home of the victim, presumably to just, again, I don't want to make it like they came there to intimidate anyone. I think it was more of going there to say, hey, what's going on, kind of thing. But but again, who am I to speculate?
One of the 2 men who allegedly did that was named in court. Do you know who the other guy was?
I don't off the top of my head, but my people probably do. Anything else? Okay, good to go.
Thank you.